Welcome back. We're going to finish up talking today about the hastening of revolution. So some other things that happened to kind of spur on the coming American Revolution. So starting off here with the First Continental Congress. And if you remember from American history way back in the day, the First Continental Congress was a group of colonial legislators, well-known people in the colonies, who came together and they were going to try to come up with some sort of solution to all of the taxes and all of the acts that Great Britain had recently inflicted upon them. So they meet together, and the big thing that comes out of this Continental Congress is an embargo. So the people that were assembled there thought that the best way to kind of get back at Great Britain was to pass an embargo, which is a prohibition of trade. So basically, the colonies and Great Britain were trading partners. If the colonies said, we're not going to trade with you anymore, then Great Britain was kind of going to be in a world of hurt financially. And they thought that was the most effective way to kind of send their message was through the pocketbook, right? So then shortly after the First Continental Congress, we have the Battle of Lexington and Concord. And so often this is referred to as the first battle of the Revolutionary War. So at the Battle of Lexington and Concord, the colonists are driven back, like they're basically running away. But it was kind of the first time where you see British military might kind of clashing with the colonists, okay? So then the battles of Lexington and Concord lead to the Second Continental Congress. And that Congress was, they basically acted as a central government. So they did things like they issued currency. They tried to take on the role of what a central or a federal government would do, even though they really probably didn't have the authority to do that because we were still politically tied to Great Britain. And the big thing that comes out of this Continental Congress is they name John Hancock the president of this Congress. So whenever you hear people say, George Washington wasn't the first president of the United States, well, he was the first president under the Constitution. Okay, so we've had other people in charge of different political organizations throughout time, for example, John Hancock, but George Washington is the first president of the United States. So all of these things are starting to like brew together. This is like stirring the pot, so to speak. And eventually we have some movements toward independence. So in June of 1776, this guy named Richard Henry Lee presents a resolution to the Continental Congress that says, you know what? Maybe we should be free. I think it's probably time. We can separate politically from Great Britain and we can be our own thing. So Thomas Jefferson is, of course, in a group of people who is tasked with writing the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson didn't actually want to physically write it because he didn't like his penmanship, but he was the guy that came up with the draft of the Declaration. On July 2nd, 1776, Congress actually votes to declare independence. And on July 4th, 1776, the delegates are signing the document. Okay, so fun fact about that, speaking of John Hancock, whenever you look at the signers of the Declaration of Independence, and we'll look at what happened to these guys in class, but the Declaration of Independence is signed by all of these delegates, and John Hancock signed his name the biggest, supposedly because he wanted to make sure the king could read his signature without his glasses. So that was a very, very gutsy thing to do. So if you guys have any questions, let me know.